This is an Eyewitness News special presentation. Eyewitness to extreme weather with meteorologists Lee Goldberg, Bill Evans, Jeff Smith, and Amy Freeze.
There have been an extraordinarily large number of severe weather events.
On October 29th, everything changed for New York.
It is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking for every New Jerseyan.
Extreme weather is the new normal.
Hello and welcome to Eyewitness to Extreme Weather. I'm meteorologist Lee Goldberg. Extreme weather. It seems to be the catchphrase. Just what is it and what does it mean? In the tri-state, just in the last 2 years, we've experienced some very unusual weather patterns. Frightening tornadoes, touching down in the most unlikely places. 2 powerful hurricanes with a bullseye on New York in 2 straight years. And right on the heels of Superstorm Sandy, a record-breaking nor'easter. So what does this atmospheric assault mean? We begin with the state of tri-state weather. Flashback to 2011, July 29th. A confirmed EF1 tornado touches down in Goshen. Homes damaged by 100-mile-per-hour winds. August 14th and 15th, more than 6 inches of rain falls in New York City. Nearly 11 inches of rain for parts of Long Island. We didn't know it at the time, but the ground was becoming waterlogged ahead of a tropical storm that would arrive 13 days later. Sunday, August 28th, 2011 at 9 a.m. Tropical storm Irene makes landfall in New York City. It's the second of 2 landfalls in the tri-state area. The first, a few hours earlier in Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey. Irene's storm surge brought tide levels just a few inches shy of causing flooding in lower Manhattan. While Irene produced powerful wind gusts, coastal flooding, and beach erosion, she is best remembered for massive inland flooding. Rainfall amounts approached a foot across northern New Jersey and the Hudson Valley, sending rivers over their banks, flooding towns. Just a week later, remnants of Tropical Storm Lee. Another 4 to 8 inches of rain during a 4-day marathon storm. October 29th, an unprecedented early season winter storm. More than a foot of heavy wet snow falling on interior portions of New Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley, and southern Connecticut. This is the first time a winter storm of this magnitude has ever occurred in October. When we take a look at the unusual winter-type storms that occur before even the 1st of November, or the occurrence of well-defined tornadoes in and around the New York City metropolitan area, we are seeing a lot of unusual events. The snow didn't stick around long. The weather volcano seemed to go dormant in November. Mother Nature showed her hand in late fall with the 5th warmest November on record. The warm momentum carried into winter. Temperatures were a whopping 5.4 degrees above normal, thanks to the warmest February ever and the 4th warmest December on record. We can break down the climate change in chunks of 30 years. The temperatures are increasing. The frequency of heavy precipitation events are increasing. Fast forward to 2012. August 10th, an EF0 tornado with 85-mile-per-hour winds touches down in Great River, Long Island, and tracks toward Ronkonkoma. Bohemia got the brunt with trees twisted and snapped off, falling on cars and homes. September 8th goes down as a wild weather day. A confirmed tornado, an EF0 with estimated maximum winds of 70 miles per hour, touches down near Breezy Point in Queens. It was a waterspout that moved on shore at the Breezy Point Surf Club.
Oh my God, look at the tornado!
Another tornado, an EF1 with winds of 110 miles per hour, confirmed near Canarsie, damaging several homes. October 29th. Hurricane Sandy leaves her mark as one of, if not the, worst natural disaster in tri-state area history.
This system was probably one of the most unprecedented systems that we've seen in a long time, certainly in modern meteorological history.
Although it technically made landfall as an extratropical storm, a combo between nor'easter and hurricane, Sandy caused damage more consistent with a Category 2 hurricane.
The warming of the Atlantic, that has been something that we've seen over the last couple of years. And with that warm water, storms can form up the eastern seaboard, and that, of course, plays havoc here in New York City.
It was Sandy's storm surge that was the most damaging. In our area alone, Sandy destroyed communities, paralyzed mass transit, and knocked out power to millions.
Half the southern portion of Manhattan had to be powered down. For Long Island in particular, and Connecticut. Connecticut has the highest tree density in the United States. You get a Category 2 or 3 system that roars through the area, and you're going to have forests of trees that are downed. If that were to happen, it may be months before you get your power back.
Just 9 days after Sandy, as residents try to recover from the superstorm, a nor'easter slams our area on November 7th. Go, smashing monthly snowfall records. Just under 5 inches fell in Central Park, but up to a foot fell over parts of New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, and Connecticut.
What you have to remember is that the weather doesn't follow the calendar and it doesn't follow regular rules. If the pattern dictates that 1 or 2 things are going to happen, like Sandy and a nor'easter, then it will happen anytime, any place, and any time of the year.
There's no question that Sandy's impact will be felt in our area for years to come. Check out these images from the Jersey Shore. This is in Seaside Heights, a beautiful amusement park. Picture taken in 2009. It's an amusement park that's been enjoyed for generations, but in one night, Sandy took a big bite out of this pier, and check out where the roller coaster is now, right in the middle of the ocean. My colleague Bill Evans shows us the lessons from Sandy.
I'm aboard the New York water taxi here in Lower Manhattan. The worst part of any hurricane is the rapid rise in the water level. That is called the storm surge. Sandy's storm surge was unprecedented in New York City history. Sandy's historic storm surge was caused by swirling ocean winds driving water onto the shore. As Sandy approached land, this water becomes trapped between the shore and the hurricane itself. This was all magnified by something she did that no other hurricane has done in the history of New York City.
The left turn coming into New Jersey at that sharp angle, and that's what made it so destructive. That and the large wind field, and with New York City and most of New Jersey sitting on the right side of the track where we expect the winds to be the strongest.
Researchers at Columbia University estimate Sandy's surge affected more than 1.4 million in 11 states, including New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Sandy is the costliest natural disaster to hit the New York City area. Governor Cuomo estimates Sandy's cost to New York State at $42 billion, and Governor Christie estimates it cost the Garden State $36.8 billion. The superstorm also exposed just how vulnerable our transportation systems are. Sandy flooded 7 of New York City's 14 under-river subway tunnels, as well as several major highway tunnels. MTA shut down all services, as did New Jersey Transit and PATH. One safeguard that's being developed by researchers from West Virginia University is an inflatable tunnel plug that some say could prevent flooding in subways and tunnels. But it's still years away from becoming a reality. Sandy's destruction has gotten the attention of city officials from Mayor Bloomberg to Governors Christie and Cuomo. They're looking at ways to prevent that type of catastrophic damage from ever happening again.
We have to find ways to build this city back stronger and better than ever before.
But I am absolutely convinced that we working together, committed to rebuilding, can do that over the next number of months and years.
Storm surge is a long-term concern.
In the next 50, 100 years, we could have 3 feet higher just for the average water level.
So on a normal day, this is underwater?
It won't be above water on a normal day, but it'll be close enough that even a much weaker storm will be enough to do it.
Sandy is definitely not the big one.
Queens College professor Nicholas Koch says there will be even bigger storms. Many ideas are being considered on how to prevent flooding, including a system of seawalls like the ones used in London, or a system of gates used in Holland.
What do the Dutch do? When they realize sea level is rising, they build a series of seawalls that we think will last 10,000 years.
Building a seawall takes time and money. Koch says there are things we can do immediately.
First of all, you find out what was vulnerable and you fix those specific things. You don't build huge tidal gates. You protect the South Street and the Bowling Green subway things. You institute a law that hospitals must have a double backup. Why don't we have a law that gas stations have to have generators? Get the generators and the fuel tanks out of the basement. Protect your gas lines. Protect your electric generating facilities.
Find ways to keep water out of the subway tunnels. Old buildings can be upgraded to code. I think some of the newer ones did a lot better. And there's some areas like the Rockaways and other areas that are very right on the sea where we should think about whether it makes sense to have the kind of development that we've had there.
We're basically a coastal community, and people love to live off the waters of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So is there a lesson to be learned about rebuilding in these areas?
We're all paying the cost of insuring and restoring these areas. We feel a lot of pain for the people whose homes were destroyed and some who lost their lives, but it's a decision that we as a city and a nation and society have made, that it's okay to live in places that could get destroyed every so often by the water.
New Yorkers saw something they've never seen before, and they're going to see a lot more of it in the future. That's written in Mother Nature's playbook, and we better learn to read it and act by it.
Keep in mind that no two storms are alike, and the next storm may expose new vulnerabilities. The key is asking the right questions so we can improve and better prepare. Bill Evans, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, Eyewitness to extreme weather.
Check this out. Dual polarity radar. It's new technology here at the National Weather Service. I'm Amy Freeze. I'll give you a behind-the-scenes look at how this tool is keeping your family safe during extreme weather.
2 hurricanes in 2 years, record-breaking snowfall in November. Could this be the new normal for the tri-state area?
Winter is almost here. Just how cold will it be? And how much snow can we expect? I'll have your winter outlook coming up. From tornadoes to hurricanes to nor'easters, are these weather extremes the new normal? Meteorologist Jeff Smith takes a look.
From hurricanes to blizzards, scorching heat waves to tornadoes, the tri-state area has recently taken a beating from extreme weather. Hurricane Sandy proved that there is no limit to how bad things can get around here.
We have a 100-year flood every 2 years now.
Has something about the atmosphere fundamentally changed, exposing us to new hazards that were once unthinkable in the cosmopolitan cradle of New York City?
One thing's for sure, we've had a lot of unusual storms of late.
Dr. David Robinson of Rutgers University is one of the scientists studying a possible link between extreme weather and climate change.
Is it premature to blame one weather event on climate change?
It is premature. You can look at them as illustrative of what the future may bring, but to suggest that any one major event would not have occurred without climate change is wrong and certainly premature.
But the frequency of extreme weather events in recent years is starting to raise eyebrows.
It could have everything to do with randomness, just random weather patterns. We've seen these things before, we'll see them again, but it may be that we've made a strong storm one of the strongest storms, but through an amplifying factors of climate change.
Could scenes of hurricane destruction like this be the tip of the iceberg if weather patterns become more extreme?
All of these events might have happened in the past, but they might be on steroids, if you will, right now, due to the amplification of a warmer, wetter world in which we live.
A warming planet also means ice near the North Pole is melting quickly.
We're seeing open expanses of water in the Arctic Ocean come late summer in the last decade or so that we've never seen before.
This can have huge consequences for weather patterns worldwide. Bruno Tremblay, ocean and atmospheric scientist from McGill University, explains.
As the temperature gradient between pole and equator reduces, you might see more of those stationary weather patterns.
Stationary weather patterns that we call blocking.
You see, normally we have a big temperature contrast between the North Pole and the equator. Big temperature contrast means very fast winds blowing directly from west to east across the country, and that means weather systems don't hang around for too long. They move very quickly from west to east. Now, the problem is Arctic sea ice is melting to its lowest level in thousands of years. That's warming up areas near the North Pole, which causes less of a temperature contrast from north to south. Jet stream is slower, and like a slow meandering river, it forms into big dips and ridges and sometimes even forms into what we call a blocking pattern, which means storms can stall and some of them can take a really bizarre path. Is it fair to say that if we didn't have the blocking pattern in the atmosphere, that Sandy would not have made landfall?
Absolutely. Without that blocking pattern, Sandy would have headed out to sea. The clockwise movement around that blocking high helped to push it towards the East Coast.
An East Coast that may not be prepared for superstorms on a frequent basis. We may never again see a storm like Sandy in our lifetime, but don't be surprised if we do. Jeff Smith, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Still to come on Eyewitness News, Eyewitness to extreme weather. A behind-the-scenes look at the newest forecasting technology for tracking severe weather. how forecasters are able to give families a heads up about potential danger heading their way, and how viewers like you are making a big difference. Plus, just how cold your AccuWeather outlook for winter is still ahead.
Right now, I'm in the Eyewitness News AccuWeather Center. It's where we look at computer models, radar, satellite, and gather data to help deliver your AccuWeather forecast. Over the years, technology has drastically improved to help us pinpoint severe weather. In fact, our viewers are also making a difference. Meteorologist Emmy shows us the latest forecasting technology.
The storms seem bigger, the impacts more severe, but technology is making critical forecasts more accurate than ever before. Computers are faster, radar is more powerful, maps more detailed, and all of it available immediately.
We can see things that we couldn't imagine. When I went to school, there was no access to satellite pictures. You couldn't get radar. Nowadays, everybody can get that information up on their computers, on their smartphones.
Quicker, even more reliable forecasts begin with collecting data from the atmosphere. About 100 GPS weather balloons are launched by NOAA twice a day. Sensors measure temperature, wind, pressure, and humidity. All the data is remotely entered into supercomputers that can do 70 trillion mathematical calculations per second.
We've seen that in the last couple of weeks with the track of Sandy being predicted many, many days in advance. Something that you couldn't envision 20 or 30 years ago.
And it's information you can depend on. The 7-day forecast is now as accurate as the 5-day forecast was in 1988. We have available forecasts out to 16 days. And it's not just long-term forecast. We're better with real-time storms too, like threatening tornadoes. In the early 80s, an average of 5 minutes warning was given before a tornado, although 74% of the time there was no warning at all. Now the public gets 13 minutes on average, and there's at least some warning 69% of the time. More warnings are a direct result of radar technology.
Doppler radar was deployed across the entire country back in the early 90s, and now we've made a big change to that, which is called dual polarization.
Traditional radar sees where and what direction the rain is moving, but high-tech dual polarity radar sees in all directions, and it helps predict intensity. Our radar is located in Upton, Long Island, right next to the National Weather Service headquarters. Here at the top, the radar spins 360 degrees. It can be set for rain events, tornadoes, hurricanes, but dual polarity is especially good for winter storms. New technologies allow for more specifics. That 6 inches north of 287 might be just 3 inches in the city and an icy mix on Long Island. The goal is to predict different conditions inside the same forecast area, to let us see right down to street level where the heaviest snow is falling.
If it's not going to snow in parts of the city, people have to know where it may snow, where it might snow, what type of actions they need to take based on the potential for serious weather.
Those action alerts are more high-tech too. The National Weather Service is working with cell providers so that weather alerts become a built-in part of your smartphone. Users will get them automatically.
You know, Sandy was kind of a game changer because it had such an impact on the infrastructure, on electricity and power and electricity and mobility that people had to find new ways to communicate. And social media was one of the ways in which they did that. So, you know, they couldn't use their computer, but their mobile phone still had power and it still was connected to the cellular network.
Social media is also playing a bigger role, providing evidence of what is happening as the storm arrives.
New video and pictures are pouring into the Eyewitness newsroom.
Remarkable and breathtaking pictures that we have been seeing all day long.
Unbelievable number of photos and videos from our viewers.
And it helps us tell the story.
Starting with a hashtag.
It's direct and it's instantaneous. As soon as someone sees something or experiences something or hears about something, they are sharing it.
It's a powerful way to connect. According to Mashable, the #1 Facebook status during Sandy, "We are okay." 20 million tweets happened in the 5 days around the storm.
During the height of Sandy, 20% of all Twitter searches were Sandy related.
Pew Institute research shows 25% were photos and videos on Twitter. Instagram broke a social media barrier with 1.3 million photos during the storm.
With powerful technology right at our fingertips and the ability to share the latest information, the most important call to action remains personal responsibility. When you get a forecast, what you do with that information is what really counts. Amy Freeze, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News, Eyewitness to Extreme Weather, your AccuWeather winter outlook. How much snow can the tri-state area expect this winter?
The calendar says we're still several weeks away from winter, but we've already experienced 2 snowstorms. So does this mean we're in for a cold and snowy winter season? Here's your winter outlook. Most meteorologists can agree on one thing. Don't expect a mild winter.
Winter does return this year.
I would not be preparing for another record mild winter.
I think December is going to be a colder, normal month across the area. We'll probably have 5 to 10 inches of snow. Maybe we get lucky to have one big monster snowstorm.
So how do meteorologists make their winter forecast? We base it on several trends from certain atmospheric and oceanic conditions. We look at what's happening in the Pacific Ocean, looking for El Nino and La Nina events. El Nino is characterized by unusually warm ocean temperatures in the Pacific Ocean near the equator, while La Nina is unusually cold ocean temperatures in the Pacific in the same region. However, right now, we're in a neutral phase in the Pacific. There's no established El Nino or La Nina, so that makes us turn to the Atlantic Ocean for signals.
And it's called the North Atlantic Oscillation. And that is the wild card in the forecast because the North Atlantic Oscillation can't be predicted more than about 2 weeks in advance.
So the big question, who will get hit the hardest this winter?
The farther you get away from the city and the ocean, I think that is the area that really has to watch out that there could be at least one big storm this year that can dump a whole lot of snow.
I think that what we're going to see is probably 3 or 4 storms of several inches and rain, mixed rain, snow situations, that type of thing. I think if we're going to get a storm a foot or more, it's either early or late.
Also, keep in mind, this will be the first post-Sandy winter. People in coastal communities will need to be on alert.
This winter, we need to take extra precautions for any dangerous coastal storms. So residents of Long Island, the New York area, the Connecticut coastline, the North Shore of Long Island need to understand that what the traditional benchmarks were for coastal flooding may be slightly altered due to the changes of the coastline.
Despite forecasts suggesting winter's return, there's always hope for a break.
When November and December are cold back-to-back, usually January pops out of it. We call them bookends winter.
That's our program. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, you can always get AccuWeather forecasts right at your fingertips anytime. Just go to 7 Online on your computer, smartphone, or tablet. For Bill, Jeff, Amy, and the entire Eyewitness News team, I'm Lee Goldberg. Have a safe winter.
This has been an Eyewitness News special presentation. Eyewitness to Extreme Weather.